Come see us on tour in Cohoes, New York, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, and Toronto. Go to jimmydore.com for the cheapest tickets.
I want to ask you about this. This is a headline from Middle East Eye. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz warned Syria's government the country would pay a heavy price if it threatened Israel's security interests. It followed a wave of Israeli strikes across Syria on Wednesday amid reports Turkey was planning to take over Syria's T4 airbase. So Israel's been bombing Syria for many years. They helped, after Assad was overthrown, Netanyahu bragged that we played a major role in this because we bombed Syria so much over the years, and also has been bombing Syria's key ally, Hezbollah, in Lebanon. But after Assad has been gone, these bombings have continued. Israel's taken advantage of the chaos and stolen a bunch of more Syrian territory. What is going on with Israel now threatening Syria continually and carrying out these bombings like this T4 airbase?
Let's put this in a proper context. Once Assad fled the country, Israel destroyed over 90% of Syria's military capabilities, including all of its air defense systems and all of its anti-tank and let's say, sea ship, etc., etc. So Syria doesn't have any type of weapons that could deter attacks from the Israeli side. Secondly, when HDS came to power, they said they are passive about Israel's occupation of Syrian territories and said that this occupation had a reason. And this reason was the presence of Hezbollah and Iranian affiliated groups in the country. So they justified the occupation of Israel, of the Golan and further into Mount Hermon, claiming that those were because of the presence of Hezbollah and Iran. Now that all the Hezbollah and Iranian affiliated groups have withdrawn from Syria, HDS has found itself in a confrontation with Israel because Turkey is the main backer of HDS. And Turkey and Israel initially cooperated and collaborated in November 2024 to continue this regime change war against Assad. But for Turkey, the end goal was to install an HDS-led government in Damascus and to keep certain level of centralized government in the country. But for Israel, the end goal is not this. For Israel, the end goal is either federalism, giving the Druze and the Kurds a special status in Syria, or complete Balkanization of the country. So now that Turkey wants to establish a military base in central Syria in Palmyra, Israel sees two threats from this. One, it will threaten Israel's absolute dominance over the skies of Syria because Turkey wants to install S-400 or S-300s in Palmyra. And secondly, because Erdogan wants to convert this military base into drone manufacturing factory there. And this threatens the Sweda and the Kurds in the eastern shore of the Euphrates. So in this case, the Israeli side wants to protect its potential allies, let's say in Syria, one of which are the Druze in Sweda and the others are the Kurds or SDF in eastern shore of the Euphrates. Therefore, Israel conducted heavy bombardment yesterday on Thursday and completely decimated the T4, let's say, airport, into extent that no plane can land in the airport any longer. They have to build it all over again. So Israel has set the red line in the central Syria and told, in this case, to Turkey that your borders are in central Syria, it's in Homs, and beyond Homs, this is going to be a sphere of influence for Israel. And in this case, I want to remind your respected audience what Smotrich said a few months ago. He said
the Israeli minister.
Yes, Israeli minister.
Yeah.
He said the borders of Israel stretches from Jerusalem to Damascus. Therefore, I believe that Israel is eyeing on Damascus, and they will create any justification and excuse for that. They will say there is a threat coming from Damascus against the newly annexed territories inside Syria, and they will try to create another buffer zone inside a buffer zone in the Syrian territory. So this is a struggle of power now between Turkey and Israel over Damascus. I believe that at the end of the day, if the United States was was in an intersection to make a choice, they will side with Israel and give Israel what they want in Syria, which means a complete expansion of the Israeli forces inside Syrian territories.
Now, the new Syrian government, ruled by an al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, their forces recently clashed with Lebanese forces on the Lebanese border. Has the new Syrian government, led by this al-Qaeda offshoot, have they fired a single shot at the Israeli forces that have bombed Israel repeatedly and taken even more Syrian territory?
Yesterday, when the Israeli forces conducted a new offensive in Dore. So we're not only talking about now Qunaytira, it's beyond Qunaytira. They're already in Dore. So once they entered a few towns in Dore, the people started calling for Jolani to do something about it. And they said, we want weapons, we want to fight, we're not going to give up our towns. And Israel is giving them 2 hours to leave entire towns, giving them 2 hours with flyers, telling them they have to evacuate. This is now a military zone, and they occupy it and annex it completely. So the people who ever had AK-47s, they started fighting, let's say, independently against the Israeli forces, and they were killed en masse because Israel had this aerial superiority. They had the drones. They were watching these unorganized fighters who spontaneously fought against Israel, and they killed a big score of the, let's say, local fighters against Israel, but there was only a statement from the Jolani government condemning the Israeli strikes against Syria and nothing more. When Jolani was asked, this was 2 weeks ago when he was in Saudi Arabia, he said, we cannot reveal our plans, how we will respond against Israel, but I think that he doesn't have neither the capacity nor the will to fight against Israel, because he will be removed in a matter of a few days if he clashes with Israel. He knows that he was installed by, between brackets, international, let's say, compromise or regional compromise between Turkey, Israel, the US, etc. And if this consensus is gone, he will also be gone, because he didn't come after a rebellion or a revolution, after popular will. No, he was installed. There was a coup d'etat in Damascus, and the Syrian army laid down its arms after the military has been infiltrated via intelligence assets, and they have received orders to lay down their arms and allow HTS to take over the country.
Come see us on tour in Cohoes, New York, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, and Toronto. Go to jimmydore.com for the cheapest tickets.